Well, if you ask him for something, can you imagine him telling you, give me time?
I praise God that I was condemned. Because if I wasn't condemned by man, then consequently I would have been condemned by God. But it's because of that human condemnation that led me to my salvation.
My dream husband was, I wanted a guy who was tall, light-skinned, and slim fit. And here is a dark, short guy, a bit plump. Definitely, that was not what I had asked God for.
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6 reads, "Without faith it is impossible to be well-pleasing to him," that is God. "For he who comes to God must believe that he exists and that he is a rewarder of those who see him." The him in this scripture is God. Therefore, we now circle our story unto faith. I welcome you to my story. This is a new year, and as we've always promised you that we have My Story Reloaded. This is My Story Reloaded, and Edrine Osteen is my name. I welcome you to the home of effective and powerful testimonies that are going to change your life. I believe your life is going to be changed more than before. Yes, we are delighted. This is our second Sunday in this year, and we are really grateful that we have another outstanding audience in Mbarara. And actually, the people of Mbarara, this is a special dedication to all of you, but of course to all other people in the other regions of the country where this image reaches. And guess we have today? He's another surprising and, encouraging person. Yes, most of us must have heard about his story, must have heard about him. Oh, maybe you're hearing him for the very first time. But I believe what he has for you is really, really important. He is the founding pastor of the very many, over 80 branches of Holy Spirit Fire churches. And of course, towards the end of, or towards Christmas last year, we happened to be hosted by one of those churches in Mbarara. And I have good news to tell you that he is the lead pastor. But he's also a proprietor of schools. He's an educationist. And he has also come up with NGOs that rehabilitate street children. And through the NGOs, these street children have really come out to be important and powerful ministers of God. Wow! Another surprising testimony about his life is, did you know he's the husband to one of our area MPs, or not area MPs, but district woman MPs? Yes, you might have heard about the district MP of Ntoroko district, and you see the lady so diligent, and you don't know who the husband is. The husband is the one we have today. Join me as we welcome Apostle Willy Tumwine onto My Story. Apostle, we are delighted to have you in My Story today.
It's a blessing. Thank you, Edrine. Thank you for choosing me at the beginning of the year.
Wow.
To give me this opportunity to discuss and to speak to the viewer who are watching me.
We are indeed. How is Mbarara?
Mbarara is good. We thank God for Mbarara. Mbarara is doing well. Yeah, we had the season which was not bad. We had the rain was not too much, but was not very little. We've got something good.
Wow, we bless the Lord. We bless the Lord. So, Apostle, we want to get back to your childhood story.
Yes.
I think we started from the very beginning of your life.
Yes.
Yes. Where does Apostle Willy's life start? Okay, those days when you're Willy Tumwine, before Apostle comes in.
Yes.
Yeah. How does Willy come onto earth?
Yeah, Willy Tumwine came into this earth on 22nd September 1966.
Really?
Yeah, that's when landed here.
But you look younger than that.
God is so gracious to me. God is so gracious.
Wow.
Yes, but 1986 and 66 September, I was born to a man called Erisa Lwakabukale. It's a Nyankole name which is very long, very hard. Yes, Lwakabukale, and my mom, Joyce Mbabaz. These two met in Kampala. And I was born. When I was born, they were living in Katwe, near Lubiri, the Lubiri,
the ring road.
Yeah, down there was a very popular disco disco place. It was called. The name has come out of my mind, but it was very popular.
White Angels.
White Nile.
White Nile.
Nile. I wonder how you could.
No, I've heard people talk about White Nile.
So I was born just near White Nile down there, and we were there until my dad was an activist of UPC. He was a UPC strong young man, very active. And when the government changed, he had some challenges, some troubles. He's one of the people who had to run away when Dada took over. Because this was a ready man, very ready man. Those days there were those ready man, the UPC activists. So when the government changed, some of them were not safe anymore. They had to take us from Kampala.
Earlier you had told us that they met at White Nile.
Yes.
The White Nile was a disco. Did they meet in a disco?
Yes, that's how life began, and they ended up becoming wife and husband. Wife and husband, and they managed to live for some years, but they could not finish. Yeah.
So you're taking us to, I think it was a few years when
after a few years my dad had to leave Kampala briefly, though he tried to come back, but as the story goes on you realize. So he had to learn and went to the village. My mom advised him, because my mom was coming from Masaka. There is an area where she was born, it is called Kalungu. So my dad,
present district.
Has Kalungu district now. My mom advised my dad to go and buy there a land, and we went to the village. But life was not easy. I remember life became very hard because we had never. By then I was 6 years, and we had never been in the village. So going to the village and starting that new life, there is no electricity, there is nothing. And I realized all the.
You've come from Katwe, which is a charming place.
Yeah, by
so
then,
active.
Very active. By then it was the seat of the city. The city of Kampala. You know, if you lived in any
Kampala
other place,
had another city.
Another city within Kampala. So a city within the city, that was Katwe. Chibuga Katwe. There were some songs by then. I remember when I was, there's a man, I can't remember the name, I used to sing Chibuga Katwe Wama Chisanyusa, Chibuga Katwe. So Katwe was a wonderful city with a lot of excitement, a lot of fun. So we go to the village and life becomes somehow hard, and which caused, I think, the two. Though the mom was the one who had advised to go to the village, but she failed to stay in the village because my dad kept going back to Kampala to work and find us in the village. And I don't know what happened. And the two, I remember, I was a small boy. I saw them fighting, and after fight, I saw my mom getting some of the things and putting on her head, and she left. And that
just
was
like that?
Just like that. And I didn't know what was happening, but this turned our lives around.
How many were you at that time?
At that time we were 4. I was the second born. I had my elder brother and a sister who followed me, and our youngest brother. Though our mom went with a younger pregnancy, which she did not know, but afterwards she gave birth to our last born, who is there.
So you were now five afterwards.
But the last born was not born at home, and he never lived with us.
So when mom was leaving home, did you stay with dad, or dad was still in Kampala, so you stayed alone in the house?
You know, this younger man was full of pride, and I think he made a mistake. He thought he can manage without his wife, which turned to be a disaster. He tried and he failed, and he took my siblings, my sister and our youngest brother to his mother in the village. He had the mother was still alive in another village in Ruwero. For my dad's parents, they were cattle keepers, were in Ruwero, and he took the two there, and he stayed with me and my elder brother, and he brought in another lady. He chose not to follow my mom. He was so proud. He said, I don't follow the lady. I will get another one. So he brings in this new lady. I was young. I don't know whether I was stubborn. I don't know whether I was not. But the only history I remember, this lady who came in was
now
always
complaining.
The stepmother was always complaining about me. So thinking that I'm a bad boy, which caused most of my history.
Or maybe you were a bad boy and you could just not admit that you were.
I don't know, because I was a small boy. And
what are some of the complaints she raised about you?
Just, she never had any good word about me. Whatever I remember, whenever my dad came back from Kampala to come and visit in the village, whenever I knew that my dad was coming, I was getting ready for Chiboko. Beatings, serious beatings, and here I was seriously beaten. And until I realized I could not stay home anymore. So I left home at a younger age. My brother, for him, was wise. He got out of the home. I remember one time our dad had left money with our stepmother, and my brother, my elder brother, was a very clever boy. Got that money in his own way, took off, disappeared.
To where?
He followed my mom. He went to Kampala and followed my mom. You know, my mom, after divorcing, she went back to Kampala. So now I remain alone in the hands of this lady who always complained that I was not a good boy, and I had no wisdom, no nothing. I didn't know what to do, so I was just stuck. But finally, I managed to escape from home, and I went to a town which is down there called I went to Chotera.
From Kalungu to Chotera?
Yeah, this time we had moved from Kalungu after they divorced, because Kalungu, it was my mom who had taken dad to buy there. And I think after divorce, it was not comfortable to remain that end of my mom. So he sold that piece of land and went to now, which is called Lakai district. Bought there and took us there with his new wife. And
did you know anyone in Chotera?
No.
Or you just moved?
I just moved, as these kids who just go aimlessly. And I went to the streets of Chotera.
What was your plan as you were leaving home? Were you thinking of getting a job and work? Were you thinking of
Yeah, actually, I went to look for a job.
How old were you?
I was very small, and actually, no one was willing to give me a job.
Were you 10 years older?
By then, I think I was 11 years. I was 11 years when I went to Chotera. And at first, someone gave me a job of selling pancakes, and because I was too young, when I went selling pancakes, all the money I sold was stolen. All the money that I sold was stolen. And so the
how
owner
was this money stolen?
I don't even know. I don't even know how Muyaye took the money from me. So I was in another trouble. And
explaining
to the owner. I've made him, caused him loss. And that's how I failed. I kept moving from one place to another place. So I became a street kid there.
In Chotera?
In Chotera.
How were you surviving? Where were you getting something to eat? Where were you sleeping?
The good thing, when I got there, I found some other boys, some kids of my age, who welcomed me in their group, and we were surviving.
Meaning there were already other street children?
Yes, there were kids who were wandering on the street. Sometimes people would use us for different work, sending you for water, sending you for different things, and would survive like that. And finally, after some years, my dad was passing through Chotera. My dad had taken another story I had skipped. Was my dad had taken me to school. I studied P1. Those days there were not preschools, there were not nursery schools. We used
kindergartens,
they were not there. So we used to go for primary school. I'd gone P1, studied P1 and P2. And because of a lot of allegations from my stepmother, I think my dad lost interest of educating me. And he had me, and I was at home. One of the reasons why I even chose to run away, because I still loved to go to school. I loved school because I had friends who were at school, and my dad was not willing to take me back. So that's one of the reasons why I left. In fact, in 1979, I even tried to you know, the war that took Idi Amin away from power. Came 1979. It was through Chotera, because Chotera is near Metukula. From Tanzania through Metukula to Chotera. When they liberated that part of Chotera, I tried to join the military, but they never took me because I was too small. I tried and they rejected me. So
why were you taking on this decision? Was it because of passion or because of the frustration you were going through?
I think it was frustration, because I had no hope. First of all, I wanted to study. My dad is not willing to educate me. So
and does he even know where you are? Because you just disappeared.
Because even before I disappeared, I was at home seated. And other kids were going to school. And my dad was claiming I'm a fool. I'm like my mom. That's what he used to tell me. And unfortunately, they say I resemble my mom. So my dad, I think, was not very comfortable with this face, which resembles the woman who disappointed him. So he was not comfortable with me. That's the truth. And but one time in 1980, he was passing by.
After missing out the chance of joining the military.
And I stayed in Chotera. So this man, my father, passes Chotera, and he finds me on the street, and I was very dirty. Very dirty, like, you know, those street kids. Very dirty, and the hair, I was looking very bad. And when he looked at me, I think the parental love came back. He looked at me, I think he was moved with compassion, and I was afraid of him, because I knew if I go back he will kill me, because this is a man who used to beat me so badly off. Now I think, if I go back home he will kill me. So I was worried, if I go back home he will kill me. But he finds me on the street, he says, okay, you come back home. I will not beat you, come. He looked
Just
at
like
me.
that?
He looked at me. He said, "Now you look at how you look. Why are you suffering from here? Who chased you from home? Come back home. I will not beat you." I think he himself knew I would fear going back because of beatings. He said, "I will not beat you. Come back." So I went back home. When I went back home, my desire, I wanted to go back to school. But now he has taken me back home and he's not taking me to school. So this time, at least I had grown up a little bit. By then, I think I was 14 years. But because of troubles, and you do not believe that I'm 14, I looked very young. And I'm a tall man, but I don't know why I was not becoming tall.
Those days?
Yeah. At 14, I was short, looked very young, a very small-bodied, very short boy, one would not believe I was 14. But when I went back home, because I was determined, I wanted to study, in my village, they make local brew. And that's the business that booms in that area, yeah, where we lived. The main business making local brew. And some of them, they sell it at that level as local brew, and the others, they transform it into waraj. So, what I had to do in the village is to look for these business people, ask them for work, and they gave me mostly the work of pushing water, because they need water. So by then I would ride the bicycle and push water, and they would give me some money, and I kept it because I wanted to go back to school. That was my desire. That was my desire. Getting back home, I found even my two siblings, my sister and the brother, were brought into the home. Now we are three, a little bit comfortable. I have my brother and my sister at home. But by then I found my sister had gone to P5. She's younger than me, and remember, I stopped in P2. So what I did, because I had collected money, this time I'm going to pay for myself. I went to school, and I had to tell them that I had stopped in P4. The good thing those days, they were not giving interview.
Oh, interview.
Actually, they used to ask the report. If you are saying that you claim to have finished P4, you bring the report, which I also did, because I told them, and those days we used in grass-thatched houses. I told them my report was burnt in the house we lost one. So they just accepted me to P5. I did not go to P6, but to P3 and P4. I jumped to P3 and P4. I went to P5. But because I loved studying so much, I used to pay attention. And also my sister, when we go home, because she was in P5.
Now you're in the same class.
She would teach me, she would help me. And I also found the two boys where I sat in between of them, and used to copy from them. So the first term was hard, but by second term, I had improved.
You are now a successful P2. Yeah, sorry, P5 child. We
went to P6. And P6 I managed to study one term, because I used to go and work, look for money to pay. And in P6 second term, things became harder, and I could not push myself beyond there. So what I decided, after realizing I cannot keep paying and doing everything for myself, my dad had just left me in home, but he was not concerned of my study or anything. So after realizing I can't go on with that, I decided to look for money. This time I was not ready to go back to Chotera. I wanted to go to Kampala. Going to Kampala, the other story, my brother, when I failed to be enrolled in the military, my elder brother succeeded. He joined the military during that 1979. Yeah, because he was older than me 2 years, but you will not believe. When you look at us, you would think that I'm not the person who follows him. For him, he was a strong man, and because he had stayed with mom, and I think he lived in a better,
that beautiful life, care.
And by then he had even finished senior 2. He went into military in 1983, when I was thinking of going to Kampala. Actually, I had heard that is in Machinde Barracks. So my plan, after failing to pay for myself, I decided to go to Kampala and look for my brother and see if he can look for me something to do in Kampala. So I collected that money, which I used to take to school. Now I collect it for my transport, and also to see that I can buy some, because I never had a long trouser. I used to have shorts, so I wanted to have a long trouser. I'm going to Kampala. So I bought one, and also I bought shoes. By then in the village, no shoes in the feet. And remember, before I left Kampala, we were kids who were spending a day in shoes. But this time, even on Christmas, you can't have shoes in your feet. Life was very hard. So I bought a long trouser and bought shoes. Those days, those who can remember, those shoes were Chinese. Chinese. So I bought Chinese. Oh, I put on well. I did not say bye to my people at home. Because I knew this man might broke me. And my stepmother never wanted anyone to know. I remember I woke up very early in the morning. I left them in bed. Got some of my clothes into a small bag. Took off from behind. I passed behind the house. Ran for 7 kilometers from where we lived to Chotera to get a bus to Kampala. So I got a bus. I had known that if I'm going to march in the barracks, I need to stop at the buses used to go through Chibuye roundabout. So I told the conductor, you leave me at Chibuye roundabout. So when we reached roundabout, it was 1983. 1983, I remember, I think it was May. And I got to Chibuye. I had the man telling me, young man, this is Chibuye roundabout.
Had you forgotten about Chibuye?
Yes, because I left when I was 6 years, small. So when he tells me Chibuye, this is Chibuye, got out of the bus, stood around there, looked around, and I asked somebody who directed me march in the barracks. I went to march in the barracks. So reaching march in the barracks at the quarter guard at the gate, I explained myself. I'm a brother to so and so. I've come for my brother. And there was a military man who knew him. He was excited. He said, are you brother to Godfrey? I said, yes, I'm a brother. He said, oh, Godfrey is not around, but his wife, he had already married. His wife is at home. So I was excited. I was taken to my sister-in-law and introduced by the other man. And my sister-in-law welcomed me in. I stayed home until my brother was taken to Ruwero. Those are during days of fighting. He was in Bote's army and they were fighting the rebels of Mr. M7 today. So I was there for 1 week and my brother came. That's how I started life in Kampala. Now getting to Kampala, waited for my brother. After 2 weeks he comes. When he came, he was very excited because he knew, I'd already known that I'm going through fire. So he welcomed me. He said, I think Willy, you have made a good choice. You have come. I'll take you to my mom. He told me that my mom was living in Kamocha. So he welcomed me and he took me. I enjoyed the city. I was staying with him in much in the barracks.
And very many things must have changed.
Things have changed. I'm happy now. I'm back in city. He takes me to see my mom in Kamocha. My mom had also remarried. She had another husband. So we went back I went back to stay with my brother in the barracks. Now, life at the barracks. When I get to the barracks, I find there were something new. You know, the other time I was on the street, but I did not get into anything like drugs when I was a small kid. I was just meandering there, but I had not gone into drugs. And now coming to the barracks, 1983, all the kids are there, the kids there, the brothers to different soldiers, they all smoke marijuana. And my brother also was already into it. But for him, he never wanted to see his brother also taking marijuana. He tried like an elder brother. I think he was a good elder brother. He warned me, he told me, Willy, be careful with these boys. You know, these are bad boys. they smoke marijuana. Don't be confused by these guys. Don't allow this. But he's stopping me, but I see him taking and when these boys are around me, they call me Onufala, Musakala. They used to call us Musakala. Musakala means Munachalo. Musakala. And I never wanted to be Musakala. Now I'm a city. I want to be a city boy.
You don't want to bring back the Chotela things.
I don't want to bring the Chotela Akai things. And these guys are telling me if I'm going to be a city boy, I must smoke. So finally I said, no, I can't remain in Musakala. I want to be a city boy. So I went into the drugs because just I never wanted to be Munachalo. So they introduced me to drugs. At first it was like a joke. I remember the first time I smoked. It made me laugh, and I don't know why I'm laughing. As to dance, sometimes dance on bawito buyungo. Omuntu ayambala buyungo nabanga muwanvu. Ngali waggulu azina. Kati nze njaga buyankwata nentandika okuseka nga ndaba ndi ku mbaga. So it was fun.
Apostle, I think at that point, let's shortly go for a commercial break. We shall be right back. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, and this is my story.
Do you know that you can now enjoy great enriching shows anywhere through the Family TV app? Here is how to download it. Open Play Store on your phone. Search for the Family TV app. Click Install. After installing it, open it and enjoy enriching content anywhere, everywhere, anytime. Family TV, enriching lives.
The starting point of your surgery, when they say attention and you hold your legs, you have made yourself a soldier.
Then I said, now I know you want me to get saved, so I am going to get saved, but give me time. Can you imagine telling God, if you ask him for something, can you imagine him telling you, give me time?
I praise God that I was condemned. Because if I wasn't condemned by man, then consequently I would have been condemned by God. But because of that human condemnation, that led me to my salvation.
My dream husband was, I wanted a guy who was tall, light-skinned, and slim fit. And here is a dark, short guy, a bit plump. Definitely, that was not what I had asked God for.
I welcome you from the commercial break. This is my story, Reloaded, the home of powerful and effective testimonies. Yes, we are blessed to be with the founder of Reach the World for Christ Ministries, and the man who struggled, or the young boy who struggled with his education, is now a proprietor of a radio station in Mbarara, Glory FM. Well, we are with Apostle Willy Tumwine, taking us through his story. Apostle, before the commercial break, you had told us that the first time you take marijuana, just maybe to paint this image of this Simbaga, yes, before our audience.
Nkugambi lwenasooka okunywa ku njaga. Kati naginywa njagala baleme kumpita munnakyalo. Nkoyo okumpita munnakyalo. Remember, my brother is discouraging me to go into it.
Yeah, these others are calling you Musakala.
I sneaked out with my friends, the boys, and they gave me. After giving me, after smoking, nenera bakumbaga yali mpitirivu. Kabo buyungo bazina.